I were talking, our education background is similar. We flunked out. I flunked out of high school twice because I can't write. And it's not that I can't write, it's the teacher didn't like what I was writing. And so for a long time, I thought my middle name was stupid. And that was hard to take because my old man, the poor dad, was the head of education for Hawaii. You know, a PhD from Stanford, Northwestern, University of Chicago. And his oldest son, me, I'm flunking out of school. And it's not that I love learning. I just hated school. I think you understand what I'm saying. So with that, I knew I was a surfer. That was my biggest problem. And when the surf was up, I wasn't in class. And so something told me, and it was both both fathers said, if you don't get discipline, you know what I'm talking about? There's self-discipline and external discipline. And if you have no self-discipline, the world disciplines you. Why the biggest stock market crash in history is still coming. It came in March 2020. It went down in 3 massive steps. Yeah. And people who didn't see it got wiped out. They're being wiped out right now.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that everyone understands that the rebuttal is, oh, well, you couldn't have seen the virus coming. It was just this total black swan event. But the people who say that are really missing the point. And I think that the point, and the point you most likely made in your book, is that the system itself is structurally flawed. And just because we have a virus or we have a mortgage-backed security crisis or a housing crisis or a dot-com bust, that's just what you see on the surface. When you look underneath, it's just like a wave, right? You just see the tippy top on the surface and you think that's the wave. But you look underneath and you're like, oh, whoa, no, this is a lot more screwed up than I actually thought it was just by looking at a dot-com bust, an inflated housing bubble, or this virus that we have. People have to look beneath the surface. And to your point, look at the plumbing of the system and figure out why the plumbing isn't working, why the Fed has to come in and take their balance sheet to $7 trillion. Why do they have to do that? Why do interest rates in the United States have to be at 0%? Why couldn't Jerome Powell raise interest rates above, let's call it 2.25% without the whole thing crashing down? It's because the point you made in your book is that the system is flawed. It's too fragile. It's not based on the economy anymore. We've financialized everything to where now the tail is wagging the dog.
Well, Taylor says, hi, Mike. I went to the supermarket today. Every week I get the same pack of muffins. 2 weeks ago, they were $1.49. Last week, they were $1.99. This week, they're $3.49. They have more than doubled in price in the last 3 weeks. I've seen this across a lot of items in the grocery store, and this is the indeflation that I was talking about. Indeflation is inflation and deflation at the same time, not deflation or disinflation. Disinflation is lower and lower levels of inflation as time goes on. Indeflation, a mixture of inflation and deflation. The things you need, like food, are going to get more expensive. But watch what happens to the price of your house in the coming year. Just watch.
If people had savings, they could go without a paycheck for a few months. Businesses could furlough their workers who could afford to pay the rent and put food on their table. And the businesses could ride it out. It's only because of the leverage position that we're in. That's why I said from the beginning, this is a financial crisis because of the debt. I mean, the real estate crisis became a financial crisis because of bad real estate loans. Well, now all the loans are going bad. Everybody is needing a bailout from this. So this is much bigger.
The debt-based economic scheme of the United States I've been talking about for a long time has really been revealed. I mean, I've seen numerous people come on CNBC over the course of the last year and point out that a large fraction of Americans don't have any rainy day fund, that they can't absorb an unexpected expense of a few $100s. Well, we now have seen that happen, and I've got to believe that this has traumatized an awful lot of people. And maybe we'll actually get back to a strange, quaint notion called saving. And it's, in fact, like buying things after you save the money for them, like we used to do, 40 years ago before we went into this debt-based economic